Hi. Welcome to Movies Reflexed. Today, I will show you an action-adventure movie from 2011 titled Season of the Witch. Watch out for spoilers. Take care. At the start of the movie, we see some women are being punished. The women there were accused of many guilts in that time period. The biggest accusation was of black magic. Whoever was accused of this guilt was sentenced to death immediately. Then, we are shown the year 1235. We see that there are 3 women who were accused of black magic. The church had declared them as guilty and sentenced them to death. But, before hanging them on the rope, the father says, if any of these admits their sins, then she will be forgiven. Hearing this, the first woman instantly confesses her sin. She says, I have tried to use black magic and worship the devil. The other woman, who was really innocent, says that she didn't do any black magic. She also says, I was trying to make a medicine to eliminate the effect of it. The third woman, she was horrible-faced, she doesn't confesses her sin. She rather curses the father. And after it, all 3 are hanged from a bridge. While the 2 women begged for their life and confessed their sins, but in that era, the mere talk of black magic could have them end up in the jurisdiction. The punishment was death only. After the execution, the soldiers flow their dead bodies in the river. They begin to leave from there. But the father stops them and says, we can't leave their bodies like that. And we will have to eliminate the final effects of the black magic. For which they will have to read out a few words from the Book of Solomon on their bodies. Otherwise, the outcome of it will be bad. But the soldiers didn't believe him. They just listened to the father and left. But in the middle of the night, the father comes to the steam with the Book of Solomon. He pulls out the ladies' dead bodies from there, one by one. Then, he begins to speak some words on the bodies, which are regarded as enchanted. The devil comes out of the bodies from 2 of the women. Whereas the third woman comes back to life. But this time, she had become a horrible witch. She hangs the father and burns the Book of Solomon. After many years, the 13th century is shown. A great war had spread in that era. Millions of peoples participated in the war on behalf of the church. 2 soldiers were the bravest of them all who had participated in the war. They had performed really well in almost every war bravely. One of them is named Felsen, and the other's name was Behmen. They joined the church and showed great courage and proved their loyalty. Then, they attacked here in the year 1344. They had a war with them and killed a large number of peoples. But soon, they found out that there was no soldiers fighting against them. But only women and children. And they get to know this when the sword of Behmen penetrates into the belly of a woman. They become upset seeing the dead bodies of women and children lying around. They blame their leader for this mischief. They say, we didn't join the war to kill innocent women and children. We will not oppress them. Saying it, they leave the war. They leave the army and return to their country. As they didn't follow the church's decision, they become rebels. But they had to hide because Christianity was on the rise and their laws were extremely strict. In which rebellion, betrayal, and non-compliance were punished by death. They pass through Styria. They see a house in the forest and they go there for help. But, going there, they are surprised to see that the couples living here had died of serious illness. Their dead bodies were looking really creepy. The atmosphere of Styria looked very strange to them. Because the people looked very disappointed. They weren't burying the dead bodies. They were rather collecting them and keeping them in a place. Some of them were praying for mercy, but at the same time, they were hurting themselves. As Felsen and Behmen had just arrived here, they had no idea what was going on. Then, a soldier tells them, a dangerous disease has spread here. The victims of this disease die a terrible death, and their bodies become rotten soon. And this disease is on the rise for the past 3 years. He also says, I have lost my whole family in this disease. They come here to collect something that can help them. But, another man sees their sword and recognizes it. As they were about to leave that place, the soldiers present there grabs them. They bring him to the king. He was also suffering from this disease. The king knows about Felsen and Behmen. He knew they were very brave soldiers. But now, they have revolted. The king says, the disease has descended from hell. A woman has brought this into this world. And we have to imprison her. He also says, the cure to this disease is only in the Solomon's book. That book is in Zevrik now. We have to get that witch to Zevrik. Their leaders will decide what to do with them. But our soldiers cannot do this. Because it immediately affects our soldiers. He offers him, if you fulfill this, the church will forgive all of your sins. But Behmen refuses to do this because he was still regretting the last battle. Their refusal angers the king. He then puts both them into the prison. But there is also that witch present in that prison. But she didn't look like any witch. But Behmen feels sorry for her as she was shivering in the middle of the night because of her injuries. She was crying. After it, he says yes to the king. That they will take her to Helfrich. It will take 6 or 7 days to get to that place from here. A father and a soldier will also join them in this journey. They have no idea about that place, they have only a map. But Behmen doesn't want to rely on this map. He says, we need the assistance of someone who has been there before. They find a merchant who helps him for his demand. He went there 9 years ago. He also knew the ways. Now, there were 5 of them. They take the witch inside a cage. This girl didn't look like a witch to anyone except the father. Because he knew that this is a witch. A local boy was chasing them because he was also keen to go there. He requests Behmen, when your mission is completed, then please make me your disciple too. But they don't agree to take him there. Felsen tests his swordsmanship on that boy in which he expertised on. Seeing it, Behmen agrees to take the boy with them. The nighttime falls. They were guarding the with turns. The guarding turn is of Eckhart. He tells the story of her dead daughter to the father. The witch hears all this. She turns herself into his daughter. Seeing her, he becomes emotional and goes to set her free. She then pulls him out of the bar and grabs him. The father goes there to save him. But the witch also injures him. He had the key of the cage tied around his neck. She pulls it out and runs away. After a while, Felsen and Behmen wakes up. They come to them. But till then, the witch had already run away. She hides in a village near this place. Everybody goes after her to catch her. But she wasn't getting caught by anyone. Because she was just disappearing again and again. Eckhart sees his dead daughter. The girl is in bad condition and is calling for help. She wasn't actually his daughter. But the witch was showing him false visions. To Eckhart, everything was looking real. He runs after these voices. But there was also the boy who had come here along with them on the way. Eckhart wasn't being able to see him. And a sword pierces him. At which Felsen wonders why Eckhart didn't stop. Because the witch was showing him fake visions. Eckhart was going to set her free, but she killed him. After his death, they manage to imprison the witch again. She begs them to let her go. But they lock her up in the cage again. Then, the father explains that none of them should reveal anything in their heart. Because the witch can use that information against us. She can show us strange illusions. And he can also make us fight among ourselves. During the journey, a deep gorge comes between the 2 mountains. There was very old bridge made of ropes and decayed woods on the way to cross it. It was extremely weak. And they have a cage made of heavy rods on the back of the horses. The witch was imprisoned there. It was very difficult to cross the bridge with the luggage. They tried to cross the bridge on at a time. At last, they had to take the cart. They were having a hard time doing all these. The bridge had also been broken. They enter a deep forest. It was considered as the most dangerous forest of all. It was known that whoever came into this forest never came back. There was much dense fog. They stay in the forest to spend the night. They weren't finding any way out. And the merchant couldn't sleep as well. Because whenever he tried to sleep, he had nightmares. It was all the witch's doings. And when the merchant couldn't bear this anymore, he takes his bow and arrow and tries kill the witch. On which Behmen stops him. After wandering in the forest for many days, they still couldn't find a way out here. Then, Behmen gets angry. He becomes angry and decides to kill the witch. The father stops him from doing so. Felsen tells Behmen, we have detected our destination at the top of the mountain. Helfrich is right there. Reaching their destination, they knock on the door many times. But no one was responding to it. After much wait, when no one was opening the door, then Kay crosses the wall and opens the door from the inside. That place was terrifyingly silent. Then, they enter the church. The scene there was even more horrible. The father cries a lot after seeing these. Everybody had died. They think, how can Satan influence such a place? They had died in the same condition. They had been writing a book. The father says they were making a copy of the Solomon's book. The original book is here, it's the only one. It had many religious or enchanted words to eliminate the disease's effects. These peoples had high hopes for this place. On which Behmen says, this is our last hope. He turns to the priest and says, you are the only one who can free us from this situation. The priest then starts to read out the enchanted words. But the witch had no effect on it. The witch's voice becomes similar to men. She exposes every bad things Behmen had done. A demonic soul is residing inside that girl. All the secrets are revealed here. The father immediately understands that she isn't actually a witch, but rather a demonic soul who had possessed her and has control of her. And he has spread this disease, and now he wants to get out of hell and descend into this world. Father's prediction was truth. He starts another set of enchantment. It immediately affects the demonic soul. And he reveals his true form. He was looking terrible. He melts the bars and flies away. But the priest doesn't stop with the enchanted words. As soon as the process stops, a spark comes inside the devil's body. The fire spreads around the body, and it takes him back to hell. And he had also left the body of that innocent girl. Behmen had also fought a lot against him. The other three dies here. Kay buries them and takes the girl away. And with it, the movie ends here. If you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for the upcoming uploads.